Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to a series that has not been running for a while. We're going to try to make some forward progress here. Unfortunately, we may have to take some steps back. I'm not quite sure, because the tour tuner that we were using most recently, not sure that it's still working with SayIntentions. Trying to get some things answered. I did do this leg in it back in the day, but this is a series. If you're new to the channel, new being in the last year or so, you will not have seen this come up as a new video, because the last time we were here was November of 2024, so it has been a long while. But this is TBM 850. I was going to try to do this in 2024, but I could not get the flight plan to load on the GTN 750, so I'm not sure that that works appropriately in 2024. So we're here in 2020 because we do know that in fact does work. Therefore we're going to go ahead and utilize it. But this is a VFR series around the world, and so this was created by an individual. You're going to have the link in the description if you're looking to follow it along, but it has got many legs. This is leg, as I said, 13. So we're here in Gardermoen, Echo November Golf Mike, and we're going to Kastrup, Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. So we're covering Norway, Sweden, and Denmark in this, but not in the way you might expect. This is going to go around, take us through various points of interest and so forth. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the parking brake, and we're gonna get moving here. And I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna just take off from 19 right. So again, it's a VFR series, although we will be using autopilot and things like that, operating appropriately. But we're gonna get out of here. And this takes a bit, or these flights are a little bit lengthy, so I'm going to get in the air and we'll chat more once we have that going on as far as everything that's happening. But we've been using this aircraft. This is actually a flight plan built for a TBM 930. The 850 is basically interchangeable with it, and because Black Square has such a cool model, which also has not been updated for 2024, so that may be why some of this is just not working. So I'm like, we'll use it. We're using the map enhancement mod in 2020, so I think things will look pretty good as it sits. But we're gonna get ourselves off. We just got the taxiway November here, and then we'll be right on. Oops. Swung a little wide. Actually, the lights are pretty good, honestly. There's none in the middle. It was just me going too far. We're going to fly. We're going to give it a shot at 4,000 feet. We're going to see what that tends to look like. But this is a series that we're going to go around between various waypoints. I don't recall how many are in here. Again, when I did the tour tuner in SayIntentions, we were, it was almost a year ago, and I don't quite remember all of those details. All right, so we're gonna stop here. All right, and we're gonna wait. All right, so all we need here is our tour guide to be working. So going to get up here. We're going to get our landing lights going. Everything else should be good. We're going to get our nav turned on. Flight director, yaw. Everything is good. We're going to make sure our flight plan is set. 2974 or 1007. So we have that visible to us, which is terrific. Just making sure we're all set. We've got a good amount of fuel. Again, as I've talked on this series before, this is not a, a fuel type of, or a realistic flight sim type thing, career sim. We're doing this for the beauty of what we're going to see and being able to see the world. But anyway, let me get off here. And I'm not worried about, I don't really need SayIntentions for air traffic. I need it for the tour guide piece. So we're going to see if we can make this work. And if we can't, we're going to go old school the way we were doing it before. So we shall see. But we're out here on 19 right, which is going to start heading us south. Flaps are down into the takeoff position, and we're going to get ourselves airborne here. So this is probably going to take a couple hours, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. Whoop. A little bit. It's been a while since I've flown this plane. Clearly I'm going to be all over the runway because that's what I'm going to do. But I should be able to take off here. There we go. We're airborne. Get gear up. We'll get flaps up. And at this point, then, we should take off pretty nicely. And what I'm going to want to do is now get autopilot. And we're going to want to go up here. So that should get us moving. Is it gonna take us up or not? It looks like we're rising a bit here. But yeah, we are headed now to waypoint 1, 64 nautical miles away. And what I'm wanting is vertical.
500.
Right.
500. 500.
Right. So we're going to get this dialed in here. And yeah, we're going to want 5,000 or so. And we're going to try to get ourselves up to 4,000. So let's see if we can make this work. Hey, Sarah.
Hello there.
All right, well, she's there. That's good. Sarah, could you please load VFR TBM Around the World Leg 13 tour? It takes a while sometimes, but this is not working well here. So let me see. It theoretically has loaded it. But I think it's got the wrong one here. Sarah, could you please load tour ID 718? Alright, not sure that it is working because I think it's honestly got a different tour in here. So we may not be able to make this work, but we might be able to have it tell us about some things. But not sure if it will or not. So, sorry, just trying to work on a few things here and just not doing what I needed to do. So, what we are going to do is we're going to go back to old school and we'll see if we can enable it a little bit. Let's see. Sarah, what information can you give us about Gardermoen? Well, this isn't going to do anything. This is very disappointing. Sarah, can you give me information about Gardermoen Airport?
Gardermoen Airport, officially known as Oslo Airport, IATA OSL, is the main international airport serving Oslo, Norway. It's located about 35 kilometers northeast of Oslo in Gardermoen. The airport opened in 1998, replacing the old Fornebu Airport, and has since become one of the busiest airports in the Nordic countries. It's a hub for both domestic and international flights, offering connections to numerous destinations worldwide. The airport is known for its modern architecture and efficient operations, making it a key gateway to Norway. Fun fact, Gardermoen was originally a military airfield, and its history dates back to World War II.
Alright, so we might be able to use her a little bit in addition. We shall see. But anyway, we're at 4,000. We're going to go ahead and we're going to stick here if we can. But we're going to go ahead and use the information provided by the author, because they have a Word document with this that is initially what we were using, but then I was thinking, wow, I could really enhance this with Tour Tuner. Now, the good news is it does seem to have taken and maybe is working, because it is giving us the next stop. Which is the first waypoint. I'm just not sure how all of this will work out. But what I did then old school is once we're airborne, sometimes before we took off, we go ahead and we talk about things. So again, this 492 nautical miles. So you can see with what I'm showing you on the bar above, it's showing 254, but again, it doesn't know the path we're going to be taking. So you have to keep that in mind. And, you know, that's part of it. But anyway, I'm going to give you a view out the window so you can at least enjoy the Norwegian countryside as we fly. And this is kind of the view I tend to use. You can see the distance here, but you can still see down there. But what this is telling us is we will depart south and head along the coast to Svinsund Bridge on the border between Norway and Sweden. All right, so that is what the first waypoint is Svinsund Bridge, and that is showing me as the next stop. But the problem I always seem to have is it is giving me that, but in SayIntentions is telling me 62 kilometers, but here you can see we're less than 40 away. So I don't know if it's just hideously delayed or what. So I will keep an eye on SayIntentions, but Sarah might not give us the information automatically the way we liked it. So we'll see, but as we get there, we'll go through. But then what we are going to do is we will then continue along the Swedish coast to Uddevalla Bridge and Tjörn Bridge before coming to Ullevi Stadium at the coastal city of Göteborg, I think. So, and waypoints 2, 3, and 4 are pretty close together. But that will take us a little bit into Sweden. But basically at waypoint 1, we would be at the border of Norway and Sweden. So last time we had kind of gone around the bottom end of Norway, headed around, you know, a good amount of fjords and so forth. But the reason I really like this is it takes us all over the place and lets us see, you know, landmarks and so forth that we wouldn't necessarily see other ways. So we're flying over Askim. That's the city there. I'm looking at my Navigraph here to have some information. But I'm just going to try to shrink some things down so I can hopefully see and not have to keep clicking away and turning off the sound and so forth. But again, it's telling me 50 kilometers. We're at 30, so we're off by like 40 kilometers somehow. I don't understand how. I'm half tempted to go a little bit lower, but I'm not sure that's going to help much. I just don't know if we're going to hit anything. So what I may do is we'll go down to 3,500 and we'll see if that's gonna be okay. Because right now it looks pretty smooth. And right now I think I'm gonna land at runway 12 at the airport we'll be coming into, because the waypoint is near that location, and I think that'll work pretty nicely. You know, this will get us 500 feet closer. I might go down to 3,000. I just don't know when we get to certain places if we're gonna start having any kind of difficulty with terrain as we get near the edge again. Now, it doesn't look that high. The thing I do need, and what I'm not seeing here, where's my terrain? Don't know that I can see it on there. We might just be high enough that we're not catching anything, so it may already be showing me things. We just don't have the colors, because if we're more than 1,500 feet above the ground, we typically wouldn't see it. But yeah, there's definitely periodically times where I'll be like, well, we're not gonna say much, and I'll just kind of leave it to go. But what you find in this series is, because it's a VFR series, I will do the whole flight regardless of what it is. So if you go back and look at some, you You know, we had 700, 900 nautical mile flights across ocean. There wasn't a whole lot to say, but we left it on there if people wanted to view it. So we're doing the same thing here, but, you know, not the fastest. Now what I can do is I can take this up. Whoop, I forgot about that.
Attention all aircraft. We are aware of the slower response times right now and actively working on the issue.
Oh, okay. Well, that is SayIntentions, so... So yeah, I forgot I can go to my TBM speed, and that will move me along quicker. But that also changes the revs on the engines, so we've got to be careful that we don't redline things too much. So just trying to set the throttle at an appropriate pace, and yeah, usually about 230 or so. I mean, some of that depends on wind, but usually about 230 is where we'll be at. Oh, that is a race course I recognize from iRacing. So I don't remember which one that is, but hey, that is awesome. That is why we have VFR, but that was like total luck. So, so the gentleman who created this, yeah, he's a World War II fan and so forth, so there's a lot of references that way. But there's some cool stuff that I think we're going to come along here. I've been looking forward to Leg 13 for a bit, and because 2024 was coming out, the series kind of halted because I was like, well, let me see what's going on, and at this point I don't know that I'm going to be able to do anything significantly different. And unfortunately, I've lost, you know, because they've recently changed the interface in SayIntentions to Tour Tuner and all of that type of thing, and I'm wondering if that's partially what caused some of the problem. So, but in either event, you know, things are not working as we'd like right now, and you know, we'll see. But we're 11 miles away. I'm looking at seeing if anybody responded to me on some things here. Yeah. Not gonna worry about it, so we're gonna go back here. Just bring up my map, my material, and we'll get back here. But yeah, over, is it this side? Yeah, it'd be that side of the plane. It's something Bakken, I can't quite make out the name. Sandbakken, in that direction. But we're getting close to the coastline, as you can see, so, you know, we're coming up on the edge, and that's where I didn't know if things would go up, but I'm not sure if going lower makes much sense, because we're going to have limited forward visibility then. But yeah, the flight plans are provided, and this narrative is just awesome. I really enjoy the fact, but you know, we get to see landmarks, we get to see things, you know, that we just probably wouldn't see just randomly. I mean, you know, then we don't have to find things like the racetrack by accident, although again, he didn't include that on here, but it's pretty cool, because I had no idea where that was in the world, and now I kind of do, I guess I could say. Alright, well, we're getting closer, because now this says 5, and SayIntentions is telling me 9. So this might work, because yeah, now it dropped to 7. So we'll see, but we're basically coming up right here on the waterway. The bridge, I think, is there. So we'll zoom in a bit, we'll see what we see. And if Sarah doesn't start talking, afterwards, we'll ask her. It's so challenging.
We're approaching the Svinsund Bridge at
There
our
we
1
go.
o'clock, just 4 kilometers away. This
There it
stunning
is.
bridge connects Norway and Sweden, and it's quite the engineering marvel. Opened in 2005, it spans the Idefjord and offers breathtaking views of the surrounding landscape. The bridge is not just a vital transport link, but also a symbol of cooperation between the two countries. It's a popular spot for travelers who enjoy the scenic drive and the chance to straddle two nations at once. Our next stop is the Uddevalla Bridge, which is 84 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 155.
So you can see a little bit of the span there. But pretty cool that we can see this detail and that the world is modeled that accurately. So pretty nice. But as we talked about, we are now going to Uddevalla. I'm going to assume maybe this will work nicely. But again, it's telling me 77 kilometers in SayIntentions, and it's 47 here. But I'm keeping an eye on my Navigraph, which is what gives me, the exact coordinates, because that is his flight plan. Tour Tuner, I did my best to put things at the same place. And I do see the map, and there are those two roads, because there was the bridge next to it, and your question might be like, were we looking at the right bridge? Yes, the waypoint was directly on top of that bridge. But now again, we're in Sweden. And then we're going to be headed to Denmark, but we've got 3 waypoints in between. Looks like we've got another big wind farm. Yeah, just challenging with the maps to go out far enough. But yeah, I'm thinking those are a bunch of windmills. Yeah, sure looks like it. So wind power is usually a big thing within Europe. We're having a few hiccups with it in the U.S. So not being used as much as those of us that love renewable energy would like. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'm watching the map because we're kind of close to the Swedish border. It kind of comes down into a little corner and then kind of goes away. I don't know if it's exactly there, but we're coming up on it, and we're going to get really close to that corner. Then I'm not sure if it's Finland that is up there or who that is, because it doesn't list. It says Sweden on one side of the line, but then it doesn't have a name on the other side. So it's like, is it a Swedish state? But usually they don't have those kind of divisions, if that's what it is. But yeah, like right now, we're more than 20 kilometers off, which is what we were before. And you can see, I think this is 9 minutes until we get to the next location. But again, we're going about 237 kilometers, and you can see we're 201 miles away. Like we appear, hey, we're flying, we're doing well, and right now we are kind of headed toward the airport. But we're going to very quickly turn and go west when we start going into Denmark and start looking at other things. So, so this is working the way I would like it to, but the problem is 13 is the last one I have created. I went to try to create 14, and it just was not letting me do anything with that, so it won't let me get to the waypoint map. So I'm hoping I can get somebody's attention, but we'll see. The good news is, because that's where I was a little confused and a little distracted when I started it up, because before I just basically had a edit, a unpublish, and a delete button, and now I have a download button, and I do have an edit waypoints button, but it won't let me edit the waypoints. And the only thing is possible is maybe it'll let me on a new one do that. So I'm hopeful, but if I can't get 14 in, we're going to be kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place again, where it's going to be a decision of do I... let me back this off a little so we get a little better view of the countryside, but still can see our distance. But, you know, or we don't continue until they fix the problem. And again, this isn't a series I was doing incredibly often, but it certainly could be one that I could do a lot more of, because it is just a ton of fun, and especially if I can use Taxi Tuner. But even if I can't, I can ask her about the things. I just need to figure out what I would call them and what they are, and it just won't be as potentially timely as that was, because that's what I'm hoping to have happen is, like, as we're overflying, she's acting just as she should be as a tour guide within the plane here with us and telling us what we're seeing. So we'll see, because yeah, it's a 50 nautical mile leg. And again, we're not really leaving the coast. I'm going to go outside the plane to show it instead of changing things. The coast is right there. I mean, we obviously turned away a bit, but as opposed to the first leg where we really were having, you know, a lot of land on both sides, until we got to waypoint 1 where that bridge was, we really finally had gotten back to the coast with the ocean coming up, and I'm not sure if that's the Norwegian Sea that is out there. This is where I'm less familiar with the terrain. Oh, I may have forgotten to ask for clear weather. I could probably just change that abruptly, but there's nothing that we're looking at right now. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have some clouds. But I had some trouble loading in the beginning, and then I think I forgot, or maybe I set clear weather in 2024 when I tried it, and then just left the weather as it was here in 2020. Obviously moved the time up, because it would be nighttime now in the time I'm flying if I was over there. So yes, this is not a real-time series, but it's also not meant to be a weather series, because obviously with VFR the goal is that you can see things, not that we're just flying and you're obscured. I mean, the whole point is fly low so you can enjoy what we're flying over and you know, where we're going. But just a really, really cool idea and a really cool concept. And again, from a statistics standpoint, because again, I've been gone for 9 months on this series, and there's probably a lot of viewers who've not seen the other 12 legs or any part that I talked about. There's basically 115,000 miles in this series that will fly, if and when I can get through it. I think there's, like, I forget how many legs it is specifically. I want to say like 237 or 234. Again, this is only like leg 13. But, you know, the Word document that comes with it and gives you the detail has got a map of where you are in the world and the flight plan on it. So, you know, it's showing you that along with the text. And in most cases, they're, you know, a single page. And so there's like 248 pages in this document. You know, some of which included an introduction, which we read in episode 1. That'll give you a lot of detail. But again, if you think about the fact that it's 250,000 miles around the circumference of the Earth, I mean, that gives you an idea. Like, we're over 4 times around, as far as distance. We could circle the Earth 4 times in the time, the ways we're going to fly here. And that's once again because just like this, where we have 492 nautical miles for something that if we just flew direct, it would be, you know, 279. So we're getting close here. You can see we're 13 away. It has come closer. Before it was, like I said, it was more than 20 kilometers away. Oh, you know what? Those are kilometers. Duh. Okay. Well, that explains things. I wonder what sets that. I wonder if I can change that. So, alright, well, so that makes a little more sense. At least it makes me feel better that something isn't off. So SayIntentions is reporting kilometers. I'm obviously showing miles. So that's how we get closer, because obviously there's a lot more kilometers to the mile. I don't think I've noticed that till now, because in preparation for this I was listening to parts of episode 12, and I think I was saying, like, well, it's reporting this, but it's showing this in the plane, and I'm not always the most observant cat in the room, but, anyway. So, we've got the city of Munkdal that we just went past there. So they are there. So if, I always like to point things out as I have time, which in this series, I have a good amount of time. But, so if people are watching locally, they'll be like, oh yeah, I live there, or whatever. This would be a great series for people to join in and chat when I get in their part of the world, but it could take years. Because again, I talked about this in the beginning, like if I did one of these flights a week, it would still take me basically 4 or 5 years to get through it. And obviously I didn't keep up with that in the first year. So, but yes, we're coming up on the city of Uddevalla. And so, hence, now we know where the name of the bridge comes from. But we're about 5 miles away, so let's take a peek. Obviously, that's where we're headed. The waypoint is right over the bridge again. We'll see what we can do to get a good view of that. But looks like 2 spans there. Probably going to be a little bit more challenging to see, but once again, 7 kilometers now. She should, usually the geofence I had at like 5 or 6 kilometers around, so got to get a little bit closer, but it should hopefully start telling us something. Come on, Sarah. Give us some info. So, interesting span bridge for sure. And there we're going to turn and head away.
We're approaching the Uddevalla Bridge at our 2 o'clock, just 2 kilometers away. This impressive cable-stayed bridge is a sight to behold, stretching over the Byfjord in Sweden. Opened in 2000, it spans 1,712 meters and is one of the longest bridges in Sweden. The bridge's design is not only functional, but also a piece of art, with its elegant pylons reaching skyward. It's a favorite among photographers and engineers alike who admire its sleek lines and the way it complements the natural landscape. Legend has it that if you cross the bridge on a foggy day, you might just see the ghost of a Viking warrior wandering the fjord below. Keep your eyes peeled. Our next stop is the Tjörn Bridge, which is 28 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 180.
All right. And we're going about 182 because, there's some wind and things like that. I'm not quite sure why he's turning further. Really shouldn't be, but it's okay. Maybe we weren't quite on there yet. But man, look at that waterway. That is just beautiful. So, again, this is why I think this series will be awesome, because, like, I've never been to this part of the world. I've never flown over this part of the world. I've never visited it. Would I love to? Sure, certainly. I mean, I learned some things in episode 12 that were like, wow, these sound like really cool facts. And so there's a lot more in what she says than what what is written, because this gentleman can only write so much, and he's not giving us tons of education. He's getting us to certain points. Like I could have asked Sarah what that racetrack was that we were near, And she might have been able to tell me, but I think it's like the Rudskogen or something. That's what's jumping in my head. I could be wrong, or I could be right. So, we'll see. And I did my best to include the spelling, so you heard her pronunciation. I'm thinking hers is going to be better than me, because I'm sure it's AI driven. So Svinsund is the town that we're headed kind of toward. Well, actually, is that? Might actually be over here. Oh no, it is on the left. So yeah, so it comes up to the water. And actually, I guess it's right below us here, probably. So yeah, that town, sorry, it just came on my screen. It's Svinsund. And that very closely then is where we get to the next bridge. Again, 9 kilometers away, 5 miles away, as you can see. I probably am going to need to maybe expand the circles, because you can see it takes a little while for the AI to load and then start speaking. So she said, you know, we were 2 kilometers away, and maybe we still were at that point. But again, that should be the bridge there, the Tjörn Bridge. So we'll just let that arrow vanish from the screen so that you get a nice, hopefully a nice view of it. I might turn off the sky here. I just don't want to mess it up right now with doing some stuff. Oh, so I'm not sure if it's this one or this one.
We're approaching the Tjörn Bridge at our 1 o'clock, just 3 kilometers away. This striking arch bridge connects the island of Tjörn to the mainland of Sweden. It was completed in 1981, replacing the old Tjörn Bridge that tragically collapsed in 1980 due to a ship collision. The new bridge stands as a testament to engineering resilience and offers stunning views of the surrounding archipelago.
Okay.
It's a favorite spot for both locals and tourists who enjoy the scenic beauty of the Swedish west coast.
So
Legend has it that
there
on
it
misty
is.
mornings, you might just catch a glimpse of a sea nymph dancing on the waters below. Keep your eyes peeled. Our next stop is the Ullevi Stadium, which is 38 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 160.
all right. So I apologize for not having things a little clearer before. I didn't realize how hazy it was until I turned clear skies on. But so hopefully that wasn't too immersion breaking for you. But again, the goal is to let you get some cool views. So you can see about 20 nautical miles. 31 kilometers to go from here. And then after that, we're going to cross over to Denmark. We're going to start heading west, and so that's where you're going to see our destination very quick. Well, not start going down as much. How about that? I was going to say very quickly start increasing. It might not for a bit, because at this point I think we are a bit east of the airport, so going a little bit west might work. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't really matter, but just be aware. That's why you're going to see the distance behave in a weird way, because it's not giving you the distance on our path. It's giving you the distance to the airport. So it's going to give you a good piece of data just to know where we're going. So we're coming up. It's still a little ways away, but the city of Kronborg. So there's a train line right below us, in theory, on this side. So I don't know how much detail we can see, but it's kind of going along. It's near the road, so it might be more out there. Just, yeah, when you're in a plane, obviously, because, yeah, there's like a major roadway that goes along, but I think it then, yeah, heads out. Oh, wait, which side am I on? No, this way. Silly me, wrong way. So there's the major road. And this, yeah, this I'm sure is the railway. So I apologize. I'm really a bad tour guide today, which is why we have Sarah on board, so that she can get you some better information. But yes, Kronborg, there it is. So if anybody's watching this from Kronborg, hello. Hopefully you'll say hello in the comments. And then Göteborg is coming up, as they said. So we are, I guess we'll go back to the front, because again, we'll kind of be coming up on things that way. But yes, I'm sure there's cathedrals and whatever out there, but we're 8 miles away. And my guess is, you know, we're going to have some pretty long legs. And there aren't any incredibly long ones. The problem we're going to have is there's a lot at the end. And what I found is when we have a lot, she can't keep up. The points are too close together, and we're in a plane and we're going too fast. What I might try to do is, once we get over Copenhagen, or get close to it, when I start seeing that we're near those waypoints, I might take us off the TBM flap setting, and that will slow us down about 30 or 40 knots, which will be, you know, to 20% or so. So that might give us a little bit more time to get some things and get going. But we are now, what, 4 nautical miles. A lot of what I would say looks like industry, but those could be, those could be industrial or apartments or something. Not sure. But yeah, there's clearly, that's what we were seeing far away. So the Ullevi Stadium is across there. I think it's there. That looks like a stadium. So we'll see what she has to say about that. We're still 5 kilometers away. And I think I put my range at like 6 or 7, but it's a circumference, and I centered.
We're approaching the Ullevi Stadium at our 2 o'clock, just 3 kilometers away. This iconic stadium in Gothenburg, Sweden, has been a hub for major events since it opened in 1958. It was originally built for the 1958 FIFA World Cup and has since hosted countless concerts, athletics events, and even the European Athletics Championships. The stadium is known for its unique design, which allows for a fantastic atmosphere during events. Fun fact, the Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen have both rocked this venue, making it a favorite for music lovers. Our next stop is the Alalborg Stadium, which is 126 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 235.
All right. So we have turned, as you can see, so it's Gothenburg. I've heard of that. Göteborg was not, but again, that's obviously the Swedish name for it, just like München is Munich in Germany. So, you know, it would have made sense to all the Swedes watching. So those, I would say, these do look like homes and neighborhoods around here, which would make more sense. I mean, this looks like a very scenic area. You know, probably not the greatest for a harbor, so, you know, people, you know, there's just a lot to get through. So people are probably like, yeah, I want to live here, but you can see the docks going out into the water and so forth. Just really, really beautiful. But yeah, we've made the turn, and now this is then what it looks like to go from Sweden to Denmark. So the additional information we have from the creator: now head west across the Kattegat. Kattegat? It's got 2 T's, I don't know, and it's a K, to Denmark, and Alalborg Stadium, where you'll turn south. And I'm going to save that one. I'm going to end it there, even though that's not the end of the sentence, because to me, I want to see how this appears, because I don't even know what it looks like in real life, but this could be really cool. But we've got a ways to go. 70 miles, even at this, like, as you can see. It's going to be 17 minutes, so I'm just going to kind of shut up as we cross the Kattegat, give my voice a little bit of a break, And we'll be back as we start getting over land, but I will leave the plane here in this configuration and you can enjoy the blue waters. Alright, so we are now over Denmark. You've obviously seen when we crossed the border, there were some islands in between. There was an airport on there, Lusa or something. Alalborg Airport is where we are getting our signals from right now. As far as on SayIntentions, that's coming up as, you know, where we're getting all of our headings and all that. So, Dronninglund is that town you see down there. So, we are there. Lots of windmills spread around. So, not surprising. I think Denmark's always been one to go for wind energy if they can, but you can see there's one there. There's two really close together, then there's 3, 4, like a line of them showing up. You know, plus I think we've got a batch that we're gonna hit that'll come past our post in a little while. There we go. So there's another whole, like, more what I'd call a wind farm in that case. But they do look like, you know, farmers are just putting them in their fields. And I'm guessing they get a little bit of rental income or something from them, from whoever is placing them there and using their land. And so they make a little extra income outside of whatever they can just generate off of their farm field, which is pretty cool. But we're 11 miles away, 18 kilometers away. So I'm sure somewhere near the water, near the river there, is where the stadium will be. It has not come into view yet on my Navigraph. I can probably zoom that out a little bit. So yeah, we'll do that. And yes, it's across the river. It's on the left side, or the south side, the south shore, kind of in that little bump, I think, is probably the most accurate way to describe it. I believe that's accurate. It's now behind my image, but I've scrolled it out where I can see a better distance. So we've got the town of Langholt that will be coming up kind of under us on the left here. Whoops, sorry, I didn't click back in. But yeah, up above us, that to the right is Vodskov. So, no, it's not that little bump. It's the next bump. But yes, it's on the south shore. And as you'd expect, that is Aalborg that we're coming up on, given that we have, what, 5 miles? 9 kilometers. I'm not seeing anything stadium-like yet, but there's a lot of buildings. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is... It's probably okay, because it gives us enough distance that we can see. But yeah, it's a few blocks back, but I'm thinking it's this space here. Or, well, maybe it's there, so maybe this is something else. We don't even know, because we're kind of headed for this. So usually, and again, I zoom in quite a bit, so yeah, I'm thinking it's that there. That is definitely a stadium. That may just be a park or horse track. I don't know what that is. Come on, Sarah. But yeah, that'll be it. Soccer, I assume.
We're approaching Aalborg Stadium at our 11 o'clock, just 2 kilometers away. This stadium is home to the Aalborg Boldspil Club, one of Denmark's oldest and most successful football clubs. Built in 1920, it has seen numerous thrilling matches and has been a gathering place for passionate football fans for over a century. The stadium has a capacity of around 14,000, making it an intimate venue where the roar of the crowd can be truly electrifying. It's not just about sports here. The stadium has also hosted concerts and other events, bringing a variety of entertainment to the people of Aalborg. If you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of the local football legend, Thomas Augustinussen, who spent most of his career dazzling fans here. Our next stop is the Lego House, which is 136 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 195.
So you heard it, folks. That's the part left out. Where you'll turn south to Lego House at Billund. Lego House is a museum and experience center celebrating Legos in the city where they were born. I loved Legos. I kind of still love Legos. It's just I don't really buy sets or anything anymore. And we bought more when there, we had kids. But I've certainly toyed with the idea of, buying some of the big fancy Star Wars sets like the Death Star, the Millennium Falcon that are like 7,000 pieces. And I know I'd enjoy it and whatever, but I haven't. Saved my money for Flight Sim or something like that. But, so yeah. Stovring is what we're looking at here. But a good long way, more than a longer leg than we had to fly across to get here to Denmark. So once again, I don't know. We'll chat as we go. If I don't have much to say, maybe I'll be quiet or whatever. But no, the fact that it's working, is awesome because I so enjoyed once I got this working. And I really only got this working in leg 11, partially because I wasn't a SayIntentions customer at that point. I had been using Beyond ATC and stuff. And finally got talked into from my United virtual airline by the head of that. He kind of kept hammering on me a little bit of, I get you like Beyond ATC, but my God, SayIntentions is so much better at this, and this. And that was one of the things that caught my eye was this tour tuner, and I very quickly had the idea of what we're using it for here. I'm like, this could be like just awesome and semi-game changing, and just how you even do these flight sim videos for something like this. Because like I could build this with anything. Like I could just say, hey, we're gonna do a flight around Chicago and go to a bunch of landmarks that I know from growing up there, and check out the city. I mean, obviously that would be better in a helicopter where we could go slower, and if I could fly them, I would absolutely entertain that, but not something I can do. But it's just, the possibilities are endless for something like this, and just, what it adds, because again, we'll hear what Sarah has to tell us about the Lego house, but I'm hoping there's going to be some really awesome tidbits. And even the last thing, like the thing that I have enjoyed about this series is, yes, I've kind of looked at it as a whole. I know we're going to a lot of places, but I never zoomed into any detail. I certainly didn't look at any of the narratives. I just knew they were there. So the things we get to see and whatever, like I'm discovering them along with you if you've never been to these areas and never flown this way or that way and whatever. So I am enjoying this immensely, and just that extra info of even that great soccer star from Alalborg, that again, if someone's from there, like, yeah, they'll be like, oh my God, I used to watch him growing up, or my dad talked about him as a kid, or whatever. It's just really cool information, and I think what this offers with the tour guides is just a much more immersive experience of exactly what it would be like if, I mean, again, how expensive would it be, even if you were local? And okay, fine, let's say you had your own plane, but you still spent money then to get your own plane. But let's say you just said, you know what, I am going to rent a plane, I'm going to have a pilot fly me, and I'm going to pay a tour guide to go with us, and she's going to tell me things in this 492-mile journey. How much would that cost you? I mean, just to hire the tour guide, hire the pilot, hire the plane. Plane's got to come back from Copenhagen here and obviously probably fly all the way back. this, that, or whatever. I mean, I would not be surprised if it would be thousands of dollars for this one flight. And we're able to do it in flight sim, with a cool plane, with awesome, awesome scenery of the Earth, thanks to the Microsoft team who has just created this amazing replica of the world. And again, I will keep trying. You know, I've got some ideas of what could be the problem, that I might be able to get it into 2024 and so forth. So I'm going to try a few things in between, but I did not want to delay giving this episode a shot because I knew I had it ready. You know, but again, I'm going to have to play with Tour Tuner, see if I can get an answer to what's going on. I mean, I'm more hopeful that I see more buttons, like maybe they're still just changing the interface, because I know they just recently, I think, modified everything. It might have even been last week that the taxi tuner was changed. And they're not talking about any kind of new interface for the Tour Tuner, but like they did change the website interface based on Taxi Tuner 4, and that's what a lot of people use, because obviously probably fewer people write tours. I mean, if, you know, to give you an example, I think you heard me say to Sarah to load, I think it was tour 718. It was 700 something. Might be 81. Doesn't really matter. But it was in the 700s. I just hit the button to create leg 14, so it gave me a number, and it's 1103. So, and I had this tour done, like back when I flew leg 12, even before I flew leg 12. So, we've had less than 400 tours created in those 9 months or something. There just aren't, you know, and a lot of times people don't publish tours. They'll just do whatever, take a number, and it'll be there, and it'll be consumed, but they won't ever publish it. So it's not like there's really 1,102 tours out there before this one to go look at. There's probably hundreds. I wouldn't doubt that. I know there's 13 that I've put out there, which includes this one. But yeah, this is so exciting. You know, and part of the problem and why it was challenging for me in the beginning was, you know, I was still getting really used to flight sim and all of that, and more this kind of stuff, and what can I do. Like, I've got another 9 months under my belt of doing things and so forth. Like, I am immensely more comfortable now than I was then. So yeah, I'm like ready to jump in with both feet in getting this moving again, and, you know, maybe doing certainly one a week, if not more than one a week. I just don't know that I'd have time with the other stuff, because, you know, I still want to do golf. I still, you know, want to keep up. I'll tell you, the truck sims, it's not that I don't want to do it, but obviously all I'm doing is moving around from one thing to another. If I do something there, I'm not going to stop it. I would just spread the time. But the issue is, you know, having a truck episode every 4 days obviously means at least once every 4 days I'm doing that for a bit, and then editing, and, you know, because that's the thing. Like, by the time you edit, upload, you know, do a few other things, like, it's typically almost as involved and time consuming. It's almost like you're doubling the time of whatever you did to record things. You know, and something like this, even something like the golf, yeah, I'm not taking a lot out. I mean, I definitely take things out of the PGA Tour where there's loading screens, there's stuff I'm waiting on. Like, you don't need to sit there with me in the video, because I'm not, you know, I tried the live stream thing and then just posting those up, and I didn't like that aspect of it, because I think if someone wants to watch it, because I know what I would like if I want to watch and I want to see someone doing this or playing the game, if I'm not doing it live with them, if they can take things out and just, you know, hey, here's the holes and here I'm playing, that's going to keep me around longer than if I, you know, end up having, you know, 20 minutes of them fumbling around, you know, trying to get the plane going. So that's the thing, like with some of this, with the video, I just suddenly panicked, like, did I start recording? That would have sucked, but no, it's recording, and we've got, what, an hour and 20 minutes so far. But like I was starting to say, however, is what I don't know is I think I started recording when I was in 2024 because I was able to load the plane and everything looked fine. And then I realized I finally had a problem when I was trying to load up the flight plan. It's possible I wasn't recording yet, so that isn't in there, but, you know, that's the kind of stuff, like, with these, that yes, I'll take out anything at the beginning, the end. Sometimes there's technical difficulties in the middle that I suddenly have to fix. Like, you don't need to see me troubleshooting a bunch of things. That's not what this is about. Alright, so that town that we're just overflowing is, I think, Kieferup? Something like that. And then, over here, we're seeing a little bit of Silkeborg. Might be Kielenrup? I don't know. It's in the middle of the path, and the words are a little hard to see. But yeah, we're down to 33 miles, 54 kilometers. I think this is the longest individual leg. I'm kind of eyeballing it. There's a couple long legs as we circle around. So what we're kind of doing is making a half circle here through the little arm of Denmark that goes up. You know, that kind of sticks up there, and then, you know, we'll be literally going 180 degrees on the two legs from now, basically. So we're going to go to the Lego house, and then we're going to go to another location, and then when we turn from that location, then we'll be heading about 180 degrees to when we crossed the Kattersgat, or Kattegat. There's no R. I had to get a little closer to the screen. Kattegat, to get to Denmark when we left Sweden. And then we're heading back over, away from the little, you know, lizard paw, whatever it is, of Denmark, to the area that's kind of hanging off of the Nordic countries up there. So yeah, it was like turning a little bit like the wind blew us off course or something. Just double check. I haven't looked at my fuel, or I mean, everything should be fine. It is. We've got 3/4 of a tank. I just usually, especially for longer legs like this that are 600-700 miles, we're getting close to that. I just fill up because, again, we're not. The plane will remember what fuel it had before. So for like a realistic series, I definitely can use this plane for other things that would be very helpful. It does track time, it's flying, all of that. But yeah, definitely interesting. And so part of what I'm thinking is why maybe it didn't work in 2024, and if that's all it is, that'll be easy enough. Is right now I'm using an add-on linker to fire things up in 2024, and so that means there's a lot of things that are sitting in my 2020 community directory, and that's where 2024 is getting them from. But it's possible with add-ons like this that unless it's really in the community directory for the sim, that might be why I'm having difficulty, because that is where the flight plan is edited and handed over to the flight management computer. Sorry, did not suddenly lose my train of thought, but started coughing, so I had to mute quickly and make sure I was good. But now I don't remember what I was saying. As I did remember before I started the apology, and then started that, but yeah, I don't know. Not that important, I guess. This one, I don't even know that I could pronounce it. It's EJST, so Esdrufholm? I don't know. I'm gonna give that a shot. And then there's like Thyregut is, I think, that one there. So, you know, we're high enough, even at 3,500 feet, that we can see towns that are probably 4 or 5 miles apart on the surface, but we can see them pretty quickly. But yeah, trying to remember what I was talking about. But, yeah, but just, the general, maybe it'll come back to me, but it was like the general feeling of, yeah, I'm more comfortable with flying, really enjoying this, might spread out the truck sims, things like that, to just give more opportunity. But that's right, I was talking about, like, why isn't it working in 2024? That's the first thing I'm going to try. I'm just going to move those directories over, and instead of having them come over in the linker, see if that works, because really that was the only thing that seemed to be broken. Like, the plane was able to be over there, so I might only need to move the add-on for this panel over, and maybe that'll work. But it's also possible that the code to give you the button, because basically what happens is you go over here to import, and see here it says import from file or import from SimBrief. In 2024, I don't get that screen at all. So it's not that I got import file and I couldn't find the file. I'm not even seeing that. So I'm concerned it's more significant than just it's not local to 2024, but sometimes, you know, behavior will work that way. So this looks like the town is called Give, but it might be Give. Might be an L. I don't know. Again, it's text is pretty small. I don't want to keep zooming in and out. Like, if people are from this area, they'll kind of have an idea where we're at. But I can see the waypoint coming up. So Billund is coming. We will pass the airport to the left here, very close to it. We'll basically be flying by the end of the runway. So I want to say this is probably the airport. And then right after that, because the town does not look very big, we're going to have the Lego house. So 6 miles, getting really, really close. I'm excited. I hope you are as well. If you are excited and haven't dropped a like or subscribed, please consider doing that. I do try, you know, where I can come up and be creative and come up with cool ideas. I do my best. And so I have not seen anybody doing this series or a series like it anywhere on YouTube. So I think that deserves a subscribe, if nothing else. So please consider that. It definitely helps a small channel like myself, in all seriousness, and would just love to have people on board and continue to grow the channel. And I'm going to do my darndest to just keep this going a little bit more frequently. But yeah, I'd say that's the airport. That's an interesting space there too. But let's see. That's definitely the airport. I want to see what looks like a Lego house. Anything? Anything? Oh my god, that is so cool. Oh, that is so cool. I'm too close. There it is. I'm gonna spin around. That is awesome.
We're approaching the Lego house at our 2 o'clock, just 2 kilometers away. Known as the home of the brick, this architectural
You can see the
wonder
Lego
is
brick on
located in
top.
Billund, Denmark.
That
the
is
birthplace
awesome.
of Lego. Opened in 2017, the Lego house is a colorful, interactive experience that celebrates creativity and imagination. It's designed to look like a stack of Lego bricks. And inside, you'll find a variety of zones dedicated to different aspects of play and learning. Fun fact, the house contains over 25 million Lego bricks. It's a paradise for both kids and adults who are young at heart. If you listen closely, you might even hear the whispers of tiny plastic bricks planning their next adventure. Our next stop is Egeskov Castle, which is 93 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 125.
Alright, that is hilarious, the little thing at the end. So this looks like it was the old airport site. Like, that's a closed runway. And initially I thought, oh, they put like a bunch of solar panels around. I'm not sure what those are. If that's just concrete or something. But that's cool, because there's nothing on the map to indicate anything. But, so, yeah, that was one I was really looking forward to seeing. That is cool. And the fact that it's so clearly visible and clearly seen in Flight Simulator, like, if you ever doubt, you know, because some people are like, you know, one of the first things I did, probably the first thing any flight simmer does, like, I looked up, how do I go fly over my own house? And, you know, I did, and it kind of looked decent, whatever. You know, but was it pristine, picture perfect? No, but it's an individual home. But, like, that is a tourist attraction to some degree. But if you ever have a doubt, sorry, I got a frog in my throat, not because of my emotions, don't worry, you know, it could be, because this is, like, so amazing to me. But it's also one of those points of frustration, that the grumblers, like, the gaming grumblers, I you know, that's what I'll call them. The people who just find every reason to complain about anything they're using, like the people in truck sims who complain that they have to pay for maps, and they're not updating the graphic engine, and they're not doing... The people who are just never happy with, this is what I've got. Like, I could never... I don't know how much happier I could be. I mean, people, you know, but I know there's grumbling, and there's been people who are like, yeah, right, they've recreated the Earth, they're using, say, you know, whatever. You have any doubt, there's one Lego house in the world, and you've just seen it in Flight Sim. So if you're ever sitting there wondering, like, oh yeah, how accurate is it? Do they really do this? Blah, blah, blah. That should help answer things quite a bit for you. So as you heard, we're heading to a castle. So now it's southeast to Egeskov Castle, a late Gothic design built in 1554. So that's all we get. We know it's from 1554. We'll see what Sarah tells us. But again, the fact that she tells us when it's open, that it was designed to look like a stack of bricks, all the other things. Like, I was so focused on letting you see things. It obviously isn't concrete. I'm going to say it's solar panels. Because this isn't another airport, it's another area, but logically I would think they're solar panels. And that's an awesome use of space, so that they can generate power, do some great things for the citizens in the community. Now I'm sneezing, I'm doing all kinds of things, but yeah, so we're down to 40 miles, it's not very long. So yeah, it's definitely a shorter leg than what we had, and like I said, we'll turn one more time, and then we are parallel to when we cross. Now it looks like up there, sorry, I'm getting one of my rare sneezing fits, but when they happen it'll be 2 or 3 times, so I may have to mute again. We'll see. Well, the 5-year-old in me has to address this. So, over here is the town of Middelfart. Now, I don't know if there's a far fart and a close fart or something like that, or a left fart or right fart, but this is Middelfart. So, sorry, that's the 5-year-old in me that just, I saw that and I'm like, alright, I can't ignore that. But, this is Shogohoj. I'm saying that totally wrong. We passed Frederica behind us up here. You can't see the mouse, it's on my other screen. So yeah, there's like several towns, 4 or 5 towns around that inlet from the sea. But the most favorite here is Middelfart, because how could it not be? And I'm sure it's not said that way in Danish, but that's what I see and that's what I'm reading, so we're gonna go with it. But we're coming up on about 3 miles from the middle of the leg already. And, yeah, the next leg might be just about as long, but then we have a bunch of really fast things. So we'll see what happens, because basically it looks like we kind of fly into Copenhagen, or in the vicinity of Copenhagen, and we've just got a lot of stuff that he's taking us over. So, I'll deal with the next one just the way we did. And we talked about it this time just as a one-off, but then I think I will finish the remaining 4 or 5 sentences that explain everything else, and then we'll let her do what she's doing. But again, I'll probably slow down. We'll see what the distance is, but you can see we're now down to less than 100 nautical miles from the airport. We will, for the most part, be heading close to it. Basically, in or around Copenhagen, we're doing like another 180-degree flight path that is going to, in essence, go north and south. So we're kind of, you know, as opposed to this one really being more like an east-west flight path that was 180 degrees. But, so that town, Edgeby? Just hard to tell if there's a J or whatever. And then we're going to have Gested and Arup. So, anyway. So, yeah, just super excited with the Lego house. Like, I was that. And again, there's castles. There's a good amount of castles, churches, whatever. This is the kind of stuff, when I think about Europe as like a tourist or whatever, like, it's like, yeah, these are the cool sites that I would come see as an American, and maybe I'm just a goof. You know, it's not like I'm uncultured or whatever. Obviously, museums would be cool, but museums are just, you know, they're not going to look very exciting from the air. So I can understand why he didn't call them out in a lot of cases. But to me, like, when I think of, like, Europe, you know, versus, ooh, America, ooh, it's our 250th anniversary coming up, and we're so old, and all the European countries rightfully laugh at us and be like, we're like over 1,000 years old or more or whatever, so you be excited, you little toddler country, you over there. But you know, so I get it. I'm certainly not gonna play this arrogant jerk. Like, unfortunately, there's even more of now in the era of the 4-letter acronym that shall not be named, like Voldemort. You know, but these people who somehow think we're wonderful and we're perfect. And I think that's the annoying thing. We're far from perfect. We're certainly great. There's a lot of wonderful things about it, but, you know, when people are making it worse, when they think they're making it better, it's hard not to get frustrated with that. But that's all I'll say on this. But hey, when we're on long flights, you're going to start to get some stuff like that comes up. But, so I see we're by Odense, I think, and there's Hans Christian Andersen Airport. Looks like the main one, Echo Kilo Oscar Delta. Kind of up there somewhere, more like over there. Can't really see it, we're too low of an angle. So I assume Hans Christian Andersen is from this town. Let's see. Let's use Sarah on a side trip here. Sarah, tell us about Odense. Probably said it wrong, but let's see.
Odyssey is a term often associated with epic journeys and adventures,
No.
inspired by Homer's ancient Greek poem, The Odyssey. It tells the story of
No.
Odysseus and his
Come on.
long, adventurous journey
I know,
home
I'm
after
saying
the Trojan
goofy
War. The term has since been used to describe any long and eventful journey or experience.
All right, stop.
If you're referring to
Please,
something specific
I'm not saying
named
anything to her.
Odyssey, let me know, and I can provide more details.
Tell us about the town Odense that we are flying by that is over to our north.
Odense, located to our north, is Denmark's third largest city and is famously known as the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen,
There we go.
the beloved fairy tale author. The city is steeped in history, with roots dating back to the Viking Age, and is named after the Norse god Odin. Visitors to Odense can explore the charming cobblestone streets, visit the Hans Christian Andersen Museum, and enjoy the vibrant cultural scene. The city is also home to the beautiful Odense Zoo and the Funen Village, an open-air museum showcasing rural life in the 19th century. It's a delightful mix of history, culture, and modernity, making it a fascinating place to explore from above or on the ground.
So, again, another example of just why I am so excited with the Tour Tuner, because even if I can't get it to work again, which would be heartbreaking in its own right, and I'm sure not something that they want to be the case, so I have faith that the SayIntentions team will fix it if I bring it to their attention, just like they did back, I think, in episode 11, that I talked about the challenges I had making it work, because I was basically having to do most of the trip like this, of like, tell me what we're flying over, Sarah, and then she'd pick something random, and it was still pretty good and pretty interesting, but yeah, this was really the example from an immersive standpoint of I'm just literally talking to her in our plane, like, hey, tell me about this place. You're the tour guide. What do you got for me? And she did an excellent job. I mean, not only did we learn what we were looking for, that it is in fact the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen, but we learned about that open-air garden, museum, whatever it was at the end. But yeah, so we're coming up on the castle, maybe there. Castles are harder to see because, you know, they're not as big, but yeah, if there's anything that looks like a castle, it's going to be that. We're 6 kilometers away according to SayIntentions, so it usually doesn't start till we're like 1 or 2 away, and then unfortunately it is already telling us we're like 3 or 4 away when it starts, but I'm thinking that it is this place here, because that's about where I would be, and we'll know because we'll start turning to the left. So, yep. So I'm pretty sure this is it. So we'll go with that.
We're approaching Egeskov Castle at our 3 o'clock, just 3 kilometers away. This enchanting castle is one of Europe's best preserved Renaissance water castles located on the island of Funen in Denmark. Built in 1554 by Franz Brockenhuus, it's surrounded by a beautiful moat and lush gardens that look like they were plucked straight out of a fairy tale. The castle is a treasure trove of history, with rooms filled with antique furniture, art, and even a collection of vintage automobiles and motorcycles. It's a favorite spot for history buffs and garden enthusiasts alike. Legend has it that the castle was built in a single night by a troll, but don't worry, he's long gone. Our next stop is Roskilde Cathedral, which is 99 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 060.
All right, so as you heard, again, a good ways away, 60 miles, a little bit less now. You can see 58 on the detail display down there. And as it says, so the detail we have, a turn northeast will take us to Roskilde Cathedral, the most important church in Denmark as the official royal burial church of the Danish monarchs. So as we get closer, what I think I will do, we'll have a little bit of time because it's got to be a good it's got to be at least 10 or 15 kilometers to the next one. So I think after the castle, I will read, or cathedral, I will read the rest. One of the next thing, which is another castle. But in any event, we'll go there. So yes, we're going across, and now we're leaving this area of Denmark and going to the other area, but it's clearly connected with just a very long bridge. Not sure how long, but that's long. I mean, there's some stuff going on there. So if we take a look at that, pretty cool. There's just a lot of really cool views we've had on this trip. I love it. And I'm anticipating a little bit more of that as we go along, because a lot of what we had, because we came across, if you haven't followed from the beginning, we started in, I think, somewhere in Kansas, something about an airport for Midway Island. Oh, the windmills are starting to appear across the waterway, but that may be the whole group of them. But suddenly it was like there was 2, and then there were 3, and then I'm like, are they going to go all the way across? But they do not, because again, I'm sure it's a shipping canal under there. But in any event, we started kind of in the Midwest somewhere, kind of flew up. We did go to Midway Airport in Chicago, then flew up kind of the shore of Canada, and then jumped across to Iceland and Greenland, and then came straight across to Norway at that point, and then basically went down the west coast and around the southern tip of Norway, and came up to ultimately get to the airport we took off from now. But there was just a lot of fjords and not a whole lot going on, because it's pretty rugged terrain and just not a lot built, so including not a lot of roadways. You know, we saw some bridges there for sure. That was some of the tours just like this. But yeah, I'm thinking as we get through places, it's just what I'm not sure is it going to go across Europe and then kind of go up and down, you know, kind of go back and forth across Europe, or what is it going to do? And I'm intentionally not looking ahead because I don't want to spoil it for myself. I'd like to see it and experience it, because I think it'll help with the excitement and the narrative too. Like, oh, we're going here today. Just so, you know, so I look ahead a little bit. Obviously, I had to get 13 into Tour Tuner at some point, and so obviously I have to look ahead then as I'm working on it. But it's not like, oh, I've put all 200 into Tour Tuner, and I'm not planning on getting like super far ahead. This is a cool bridge, by the way, whatever bridge it is. So again, someone from this area, from Copenhagen, probably knows it well. It looks like a more normal bridge. It's just obviously it's a wide expanse of water, so it's long. But yeah, we're at about 20 miles less than when we took off from there. But this is the path that we are going parallel, roughly, to where we crossed over from Sweden. It's just we're not going all the way back to Sweden. We're just going to Copenhagen. And again, then we may go up and start going up the shore of Sweden and Finland and all that. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. We could cross across and go to Germany and that area, and France. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be France. It'd probably be more Germany. Just trying to get my bearings a little bit, and there's not enough of the map to really be certain. So, the town's not on the water, so yeah, it's this blob here that's going to obviously look less blobby as we get there. So that's Slagels. Let's see. Sarah, what can you tell us about the city of Slagels that we are approaching?
Slagelse is a charming town in Denmark, known for its historical significance and vibrant community life. It's one of the oldest towns in Denmark, with roots dating back to the Viking Age. The town is home to several historical landmarks, including the Trelleborg Viking Fortress, which is an archaeological site of a Viking ring castle. Slagelse also has a lively cultural scene with various festivals and events throughout the year. It's a great place to explore Danish history and enjoy the local culture.
So that is pretty cool, aside from the fact that we now know it's called Slagelse, as opposed to whatever the heck I said. Or at least it should be. I'm sure that she's using sources. I like the fact that it has that old Viking castle thing somewhere. I'm just kind of looking more in that direction to see if anything stands out. I don't know that I can say it does. I mean, I don't know if it's in the city, or I would think there really isn't a river that runs through anywhere that I can see. So I'm not sure. You know, you would think it would be somewhere near the city center, but that also becomes like prime real estate. You know, there's something here that could be like a archaeological site, or it could just be nothing. And you can see things are kind of drawing in based on the map enhancement. So maybe this will become a little clearer. Well, those houses did, so I think this is about as clear as it's going to get. You know, it just looks like a dirt pad, so not very helpful. But anyway, and there's more of those, it's got to be solar panels. I was going to say more of those concrete-ish things, but can't be concrete. All right, so we only went another 10 miles or so in that excitement, but... So yeah, so this is something new that I had not done, which is just kind of ask her ad hoc, but that is a little bit of what you can also do. So this shows kind of the difference between a Beyond ATC, which is a one-time pay, you know, obviously therefore limited in what they can offer, to something that is a subscription. So if you do use SayIntentions, you will be paying for it in an ongoing way. But to me, like, they earn it with things like this. Like, that is really cool that I can do that, especially in what I'm doing here, you know, which would be most flights if I'm not somewhere local that I'm familiar with, was like, tell me about this thing, tell me about that thing. The only challenge that exists is what I'm doing is I'm using the intercom in the plane as opposed to calling out to ATC, so it really only lets you set for any given time. I won't say for any given flight, because I could go into settings and change it and now, like, throw my co-pilot back or something. But I think if I, like, turned off my co-pilot and went to a tour guide, like, I couldn't turn her back on and then suddenly have ATC just seamlessly go. I'd have to basically tell her, hey, Sarah, you know, or her name's Sandra. So that's where I get them confused, because when I was going back and forth, it was like, you know, who am I talking to? But, you know, but you could change it. But realistically, you know, you're going to pick one thing on the intercom, because there's also, like, instructors that you could have. So if you want to use this to help you learn to fly and do the flight simulator, like, there are instructor AI people that SayIntentions has that you could work with for that. Like, I've already gotten past that stage. You know, maybe one of these days, though, I will, like, demonstrate that just to see, like, how far we can push it. But in theory, like, I've heard and read that people have said, like, yeah, you'd get in a plane like this and, like, tell them, you know, what is the airspeed indicator and what is the indicator below the airspeed indicator, and, like, it would, you know, tell you because it knows what plane you're in and things like that. And then in theory, you would be able to go through the entire instrument panel and, like, having an instructor get the details of, like, what this is, when you'd use it, and so forth. But I don't know how far you could push it. But, you know, something like this is pretty cool, and yeah, it's nice to know that it's a nice old town. We're just passing a lot of little small, I'm going to say small settlements, but that's not what we're looking at. But again, we're heading toward Roskilde Cathedral. Doesn't tell me what city it's in. I don't imagine a cathedral is in some small little town. I can see the waypoint coming on right now, but I do not see the name. Now, I see Copenhagen Roskilde Airport, which is Echo Kilo Romeo Kilo. I don't know if that is the main Copenhagen airport. It is south of, a little bit southeast of the waypoint. So I don't know, again, is that the main airport for Copenhagen, or is there another one? But we're obviously getting nearby, because I know then where we're headed is a different town that is not Copenhagen. But yes, we're kind of near the water here. It does not seem to have a name, so maybe it is part of Copenhagen. It's like a little arm that goes down the train tracks, and yeah, they may have kind of annexed it because it's like, hey, it's got the big cathedral, and so it's surrounded by what looks like Svogerslev, Vindinge, Endenhusen, and Vedelef to the north. But yeah, it does not have any text over it. So maybe it is part of Copenhagen, I don't know. Because this is where we do kind of turn to the north and start the loop back to the Kastrup airport, or Kastrup airport, which again might be a Copenhagen airport too. Alright, we're down, well, we're 7 miles, so we're still a ways away. It might be that thing there. If I was going to say something's going to turn into a cathedral, that would be pretty close to it. So we're nearly half on fuel, but, you know, again, 500 miles. The range of this plane is, you know, 1,100 maybe. If we're pushing it, 1,200. I think that's all it can do, so 492 nautical miles is using half the fuel would make sense. But yeah, when we're a little bit closer, say 5 kilometers away, according to SayIntentions, that's probably a good time to pop out, because it is loud outside the plane, so I don't want to kind of drive you nuts. But yeah, we've got 5-6 miles at least, probably more than that, to the next one, but then we will read them all, because I think they're all lumped together after that. Like, they're very quick. And then once we get closer up this north path, I will turn off the TBM flap thing and slow us down. Alright, so what have we got? A lot of buildings, but I'm not seeing any cathedral yet. Unless it does...
we're approaching Roskilde Cathedral at our 5 o'clock, just 3 kilometers away.
Where is it?
This magnificent cathedral is a UNESCO World Heritage Site
apologize.
and serves as the royal burial church for Danish monarchs. Built in the 12th and 13th centuries, it's a stunning example of Gothic architecture with its towering spires and intricate
It's not really
brickwork.
coming out very well,
Inside,
but...
you'll find the tombs of numerous Danish kings and queens, making it a place steeped in history and grandeur. Legend has it that the ghost of Queen Margaret I still roams the halls, keeping an eye on her royal descendants. It's a must-see for history buffs and architecture enthusiasts alike. Our next stop is Frederiksborg Castle, which is 33 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 025.
Alright, so you heard where we're headed, but we'll finish up what they have as the narrative. Heading north will take you to Frederiksborg Castle, a palatial complex in Hillerød, Denmark, built as a royal residence for King Christian IV of Denmark-Norway in the early 17th century. Now it's on to Kronborg Castle on the eastern coast, used by William Shakespeare as the model for Elsinore Castle in his play Hamlet. A hard turn to the south will take you on down to Rosenborg Castle and several other POIs, points of interest, in Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark, before ending this leg with a landing at Kastrup. So that is what we've got left. But I think 4 or 5 more waypoints at least. Let me see if I can tell. So yeah, we have a total of 11, and that was waypoint 8. So we have 9, 10, 11, and then the airport is what we've got left. So 9, 10, interesting. So as we get closer, I'll say, I don't know, maybe a couple miles is too close, because obviously the plane will need some time to slow down. Now it does say, it's interesting that it says Kronborg Castle on the eastern coast, so we are going to be on the coastline of Denmark, I guess, which I did not realize Copenhagen was that way. So yeah, or it might be the eastern coast of this waterway that we're headed toward. Can't quite tell yet. We're halfway done with this leg. It was it was a 19 nautical mile leg. So, but yeah, so should be some interesting things, and if we can get her to say things each time, even better. But yeah, the biggest challenge, because yeah, between 10 and 11 we have 21 nautical miles, but between 9 and 10, that's our shortest stint. But I think it's far enough, because I think 12 we had 3 or 4 sites in the same part of the city, and it was just way too much for it to do quickly. I'm just half not sure if I need to slow down at all. But let's see, because it's 12 nautical miles to 10 might be enough. It won't hurt to slow down, I guess. And then we can always speed up, but... Alright. So, again, where are we headed? What looks like a castle. Right there. That's pretty obvious. So that's pretty nice. I don't know how well we'll be able to see it. Oh, that is rendered pretty well, I would say. That's pretty cool. Very, very cool. So, there it is. She not gonna...
We're approaching Frederiksborg Castle at our 7 o'clock, just 3 kilometers away. This stunning castle was built as a royal residence for King Christian IV of Denmark-Norway in the early 17th century. It's a masterpiece of Renaissance architecture, complete with beautiful gardens and a lake that reflects its grandeur. The castle has witnessed many royal events and is now home to the Museum of National History, showcasing Denmark's fascinating past. It's like stepping into a fairy tale, with each room telling a different story of the Danish monarchy. If walls could talk, these would probably have some juicy royal gossip. Our next stop is Kronborg Castle, which is 22 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly, heading 050.
Alright, well she did finish, so I'm gonna crank this back up, because we were slowing down a little bit. Not much. So it's basically right on that point. But the thing is, we may turn very far away from it because, yep, you can see it. It's it's a very sharp turn to the south. So she may not talk about it for a bit, but we'll kind of keep an eye on it here as we go. It's kind of a cool view. I mean, it's pretty nice how cleanly it renders all of this. Of course, now it's right, castle's right there, but there we go, we're drifting a bit here. But, yeah, about halfway there from where we left our last point. And across is Helsingborg, but that is Sweden across the waterway there. So this is, in fact, the eastern shore. We are not going to go into Swedish airspace. We are going to turn and then head back, but you can obviously, yes, see the castle there. So this, again, is the one that inspired Hamlet, or the castle that he modeled the one in Hamlet after, given that it's, I mean, I guess it's a play, so yeah, maybe he was in there. Let's see, what can I... Alright, that's probably the best view we're going to get of it. Interesting, is there like a breakwater out there, or was that just a weird anomaly? But it's probably going to start to turn right away here, but we'll see. Or it's going to screw up and it won't turn at all. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, there we go. So it's kind of a square. That's cool. And so again, you're seeing Sweden across the way here.
We're approaching Kronborg Castle at our 5 o'clock, just 2 kilometers away. This iconic fortress, located at the narrowest point of the Øresund Strait, is famously known as the setting for Shakespeare's Hamlet, where it was called Elsinore. Built in the 1420s by King Eric of Pomerania, Kronborg has been a symbol of power and control over the strait, which was a crucial maritime route. The castle's grand Renaissance architecture, complete with spires, towers, and a moat, makes it a stunning sight from the air. Legend has it that Holger Danske, a mythical Danish hero, sleeps in the castle's dungeons, ready to awaken and defend Denmark in its hour of need. It's a place where history and legend intertwine, offering a glimpse into Denmark's past. Our next stop is Rosenborg Castle, which is 32 kilometers away. To get there, we need to fly heading 175.
Alright, so I said we weren't going to go into Swedish airspace. If we didn't, we got really close. So it took a much broader sweeping turn than I expected, but again, there's usually safety features in any plane to not overbank beyond 30 on autopilot, because that's just uncomfortable if you're more than 30 degrees. I mean, it'd be a lot of G-forces too, which is not super safe for the plane. Now, while I'm thinking of it, probably should make sure that we are set on our barometer here, so should be 1009, because that's what we've got reported, but the last thing we want is a terrible landing at the end. Now again, we're not doing this as part of any VA, we don't have any minimums. Again, I don't have damage crashes on because of various things that are goofs in flight simulators that just would make that semi-unfair. So we aren't doing that, but I think we have some time, but I think the airport's like over here. So we're gonna hit the castle, but we'll see. Now it's taking an interesting, I guess it's basically now trying to get onto the flight path. So because we had swung so wide, it took a small angle. Again, we're heading kind of there, because I know we do need to turn to the left and then we'll be where we need to be, but obviously we're flying back toward Copenhagen. Right, well, maybe it's going to end up about the same place it did before. But what I probably should do, however, is go down to 2,500 feet. And now let's do this. I'm gonna get my landing thing up, so I do apologize. Whoops. I apologize for that for sure, because that was the wrong thing. But, you know, we're gonna have that on the screen blocking some things, so sometimes that gets in the way, but it is a helpful aid for landing and not making any kind of mistakes, so. Although, I don't know. I don't know that I need it as I talk through it. Let's see. I go back here. And then I think I'm going to take it down to 2,000, because right now, I mean, yeah, it's below sea. We're not over land is the problem, but yeah, I mean, we're at 2,700. feet. Like, now it's finally potentially getting about there, but yeah, if I go down to 2,000, we'll be in a really good spot, because yeah, we only have 5 nautical miles to land, or well, to be at the airport, so that'll be the challenge. Because I almost need to figure out where I'm landing before I'm figuring out where the where this castle is. But we are a little over 3 miles away from the castle, and then we're gonna head across the river that way. So yeah, I mean, the airport's definitely that way somewhere, but it's just not rendering in a way that I can easily tell. So I think I'm gonna want to, let me see. I'm gonna want to do this, and then we're gonna want to stay on the heading. So that should take us back. So the castle is right around here somewhere, probably somewhere there. Oh, maybe there, I don't know. Could be there. So yes, I'm intentionally on heading because I need to do some stuff then. Alright, so we're gonna go off autopilot. We're gonna start to slow down, and hopefully... Oh, she didn't say anything. Darn it. Sarah, tell us about the castle we're near.
Sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
Alright.
Don't sink. Sink.
We're approaching the magnificent Rosenborg Castle, just a short distance from us. Built in the early 17th century by King Christian IV, this castle is a stunning example of Dutch Renaissance architecture. It's nestled in the heart of Copenhagen and has served as a royal residence, a treasury, and now a museum. Inside, you'll find the Danish crown jewels and the royal regalia, which are still used by the Danish royal family today. The castle is surrounded by the King's Garden, a lovely spot for a stroll or a picnic. Legend has it that the ghost of a former king roams the halls, keeping an eye on the treasures.
Don't sink.
Alright, so here we are. A little sloppy, but I hope I have my wheels down. I think I do. Whoa! Hello, what are you doing? Why is it bouncing so much? Okay, that was odd. Maybe I don't have my wheels down. No, I do. So why is it doing that? Alright, well, again, we didn't have to land very well, so we'll take that. Alright, someone else coming in. Whoa, he scared me. But again, no collisions. This is SayIntentions and stuff, so normally it would be giving me information and might have told me not to turn off there, but we'll avoid the plane and we'll do that. Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened there. That was weird. So I'm not sure where. Let's see. Do I have any GA stuff anywhere around here? Not really. So there's not a great place to park. We'll go to the end of the terminal here. And we'll just say we're going to let our people off and they can walk into the terminal. Again, if it was more a realistic series, we'll get somewhere. If people are like, hey, park somewhere, but in a lot of cases, I think we're going to be landing at tiny airports. We just happen to land at a major airport here in Copenhagen. I'm thinking this is the big airport. I mean, there's a giant terminal here, all of that. So But we have definitely made it, so we'll get this down. And this should you know, turn everything off. I think I need... No, that should shut it all off, but anyway. The flaps not go down? I wonder if that was part of the problem. No, the flaps say they're on land... Oh, I guess they are. Okay. I'm like, the flaps say they're on landing, but they're down. Alright, so I know it takes a while to turn off. A lot of noise around here, because obviously we've got a big airport going on. Alright, we'll turn off SayIntentions and all the planes go away, so that quiets things down. But yeah, we've done okay, other than kind of a crazy bumpy landing. I'd have to go, I mean, 7 bounces. That would, I think everyone on board would be a little terrified with that, but I'm not quite sure kind of why that worked the way it did, but anyway, it is what it is. We made it, even though we probably shouldn't have, but the goal of the series is the tour, and I know it's been like super long already, so I don't want to, you know, prolong this any more than I need to. But if you've enjoyed it, I have already given you your call to action, so I won't do that to you again, and I will see you next time.